Good. So here are some things that is the first one. Let's take this as a horse. If the business has really, really gone off the hinges and it's like a dead horse, the first action is you do what? Whip the horse a little harder. It will wake up and move. Does the horse that is dead wake up and help you? How about that? Huh? What do you think of that? But the horse is dead. Eh? Change what? Harness several dead horses together for increased speed. Because we really don't want to abandon box one. Eh? Get all those several dead horses together. Then we shall do what? In other words, some things have collapsed or died, but we really do not want to admit. Eh? And we keep saying, let's move, okay? How about number 8? Just go on a study. Huh? What are the best practices for riding dead horses, man? Let's commission a consultant. Eh? This to me sounds like some government institutions. But in our businesses, don't we do that? This professor who taught me, Vijay Govindarajan, really was fantastic with this. I like it. Eh? So let's commission riding companies that give us reports on how to ride dead horse. How about number 7? Huh? Yay! It's cheaper to feed a dead horse. We are not going to spend more money going to box 3. Let's just feed what? It's cheaper. Okay? How about number 6? Just look at the next 1 year. Huh? You are telling us 2030. Do you remember the story I told you of 2062, 100 billion, and people say, oh, we will be gone. Shorten the track so the horse does not have to run much. Well, how about number 5? Proclaim on rooftops. This is the way we have always ridden the horse. The horse is dead, but this is the way we've always done it. Don't disrupt us. We know what to do. How about number 4? This horse is not dead. Who told you it's died? Eh? It's okay. Still serves us. Okay? How about number 3? Our lawyer should sue this guy who manufactured a dead horse. This is a blame game. I am not taking responsibility. I must now do something different, but let's sue the manufacturer. So lawyers can make some money. Maybe the lawyers can rescue a situation. Number 2. What do we do there? Let's engage a consultant to do what? A business can go through all sorts of hoops and loops without saying, this is who we are, and we can make it, if we act judiciously, based on this experience we know, disrupt ourselves. Otherwise, circumstances will disrupt us. And then, number 1, look at that. Promote the dead horse to senior management position. Now things will get better. Do you know we can sit in management every morning and talk about everything else other than the horse has died? So I just wanted to use this to jerk you, to get you out of slumber, and to ensure that you understand you have responsibility now to take a fresh look at Gideon's men and not feel scared of pointing out what's not right and try new things, like we saw Isaac and Aliba saying, but I bring cultural knowledge to this thing. if I succeed and take this risk, I think my method, all those things are great. They are better than whipping a dead horse or promoting it to management position. Huh? Are we good? So let's go to how you build book 3 culture. I like my class to feel that they are with me. Have I lost you or we are together? Yeah. So when I leave you and I'm not here doing my own things, you will go back to those slides and say, where is the horse dead? Right? And why are we not really saying the truth about what should happen and we're expecting someone to save us? I think in Uganda it's the only country, or maybe Africa, where I hear from the top to the last, we are going to see some people to help us. Maybe I'm just being too judgmental. Maybe Singapore was like that, Korea was like that. Almost in every meeting, you will hear the World Bank or a donor to help us. That word comes out, help us. Huh? We are going to get technology to help us. We don't say, we are here and we have a plan and we are looking for a partner. I have not seen institutions of government pitch to say, we're looking for partners to fund. We bring value, you bring value. You get a return, I get a return. There's no help here. It's an opportunity. When you approach life with help, you cheapen yourself. You are just a receiver of donations. You have no human agency, as I will show you later in the day or tomorrow. So let's go to how you build this culture. So the first thing you do to build book 3 culture, do you like book 3 or you hate it? I want to hear you. Agnes, do you like book 3? Does book 3 make sense to you? From finances, how does it make sense to you? Because you're really dealing with money. You are dealing with pressures. I told you now in the break, I said at 1 o'clock, let's talk about this someone not yet paid. Nobody here is considering who is not yet paid, but you have to think about it. How does book 3 help you? If I can pause for a minute.
Okay. I said I like box 3 because it would ease my work. It will encourage me to plan, to think, to analyze my work, and to reduce it on the firefighting, the ad hoc decisions you make, even the stress level. Like you said, dealing with calls, money issues, and all that. But when we are already here, actually my work will flow very smoothly. That's what I
Okay.
say. Yeah.
So you hear how let me not, we're going to get a screen, put this in the corridor, put high sound. Maybe that's not how people learn for book 3. You understand? The reason I like book 3 is that you say something, you think something and say, but what if that's not the way effectiveness is achieved? What if there is another way? That's why when you sit in your meetings, challenge each other's position. So for Agnes, it's ad hocism. It is now, 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 and now. Now will never end. The Romans were also saying now, now, now. But the Roman Empire ended when? 2,000 years ago. So Agnes, for you think this will help. Who else feels that this box 3, being in box 1, accepting to drop some things, and living a life of box 3 would help them? Let's get 2 people, then I can cross over to culture. Who else? Yes, Paul?
So prepare and think about tomorrow, not today, because today is where we are now in box 1, but we are thinking about tomorrow, where we want to head. So box 3 takes us there. Tells us think about the competition of tomorrow, customers of tomorrow, technology of tomorrow. So I think it's a good box for us to be in.
Good. Michael?
I think figuratively, I find no motivation in box 1 if I've not taken care of box 3, because then life becomes a bit dull. There's nothing forward to look forward to. But when you start thinking about box 3, even the present, though it is hard, it is tiresome, there's a lot of ad hoc, but then there's also something exciting. You know, this is just for today. Tomorrow it will be much better. So You can only create motivation in the now if you have thought about box 3.
So box 3 makes us live above our circumstances, even if we know that the circumstances is reality. Huh? I just want you to be real, that you are here. This is the country you have. I keep telling this to our people. This is the Uganda we have shaped. Huh? If the roads are flooded, it is what we have agreed. You hear that word agreed? You don't sit in cases here to agree, but that's what you've agreed. Huh? Do you know how I know? There is always gatherings and emergencies to do a wedding on Saturday. Huh? In fact, there was a very big wedding recently where even public officials were receiving donations for what? For a wedding. Some people abandoned work on Wednesday because the wedding was on Saturday. Have you seen a gathering where we say the roads are flooded? We're coming together now. It's at Serena. All of us in the compound. Who's bringing 1,200,000? We are fixing industrial area. Have you seen that? So therefore, we are culpable in some of the things we criticize. If Michael has no money and you criticize him, you are part of that not having money, but you are saying, I am not the dead horse. They are the dead horse. They have brought me a manager who's dead horse. I can do better, but you have not built significant thinking on how to live in box 3, to own up and take responsibility.
Mine is a question.
Yes.
I want to understand the relationship between the dead horse and the rider. Because I can imagine if the horse is dead, then there shouldn't be a rider. Why I've brought this up is, if I look at item 1, they say promote the management too. So I'm not imagining, is the dead horse the management? Is the dead horse the rider? Is the dead horse, for example, the entity? I got lost there.
So now, Data, we are using the dead horse and the rider as an illustration of something. Huh? Okay? Let me just give you a personal example. So our dairy plant has been closed now for 3 months. Huh? Because of certain actions on working capital issues. Huh? But I have members of staff asking me, some, to either open or find work in GM for them. So, you know, I'm not in the factory, but I was in the factory because this is what has been presented to me. I'm not engaged in thinking of how to reopen. I now want a job in GM. So if GM runs in trouble, I say, hey, man, provide for me in TAP. Where is the thinking about how did we end up to closure? Of course, we're engaged in trying to solve the problem to reopen, but not everyone, including farmers. So there are those who are calling and say, ante tuwabagamba, bali balimba. So when we reopen, say, better price. Human beings are fickle. Few people in the world are leaders. Few people focus on what needs to be dealt with, and they deal with it and learn how to improve themselves. Many of us are happy get along as long as it works for us. That's why we don't admit that the horse is dead and we bring a rider. As long as we are gaining, I can go on and on. I don't know how many examples. I get so many of these things. We are borrowing money from a particular bank as a country to build a road for the country. So the lowest quoted bidder with a minimum budget, they ask him for kitu kidogo. He says, but now how will I deliver? So they say, if you don't, you won, but we know how to switch. We bring another one. And they do it. The other one is $13 million over budget. And they all sit around, all of them, they say, the horse is not dead, let's award the contract. Who's going to pay $13 million extra? So one person in that room should say, no, 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 the lowest evaluated bidder was that one. This one is a dead horse. We are all trying to ride it to destroy it. These tools I'm giving you are for your home, for your business, for your country. It is to take responsibility to realize that someone needs to point out, don't appoint a rider. The horse is what? Let's just breed a new horse. Or bring this young one. But you are lying. You're not saying the truth. Maybe I live in another world because I see no truth, half truth, lies, and they get carried, and reality is fault. Huh? Like no, the horse is dead. We don't need a new rider. They don't like that. Huh? So that's what I meant. It's an illustration for you to look at GM and say, which parts are dead and stinking and we don't want to mention them or fix them, because if we don't, we can't live in box 3. Are we together? So let's, for purposes of time, let's now, what are the building blocks for box 3 if you want? The first one, please start with a different set of questions from the usual. There are people who never ask questions, or whenever they ask shallow, cater for me, or where is my position guaranteed in this? So when we took up this idea that we could raise money by getting new markets differently, we found that you can't do that without functioning labs. So as soon as we touched labs, we found that actually it's not the laboratories that check what goes out of the country, it's the laws. The laws have not been updated, some since 1964. It's like every layer is bringing up dead horses. Huh? So we could have said, okay, we can make do with this situation. Or we should fight to bring new laws. You know how to bring a law in Uganda, how long it takes? You must go to technical people. Then there are all sorts of structures of how to preserve a dead horse. But they are all feeding on a dead horse. You understand that example, I hope. Huh? And then we said, but why don't we do this? So we took 1 year, no movement. We went and got a consultant in another country. We took the process from them. We've notified the Solicitor General, we are coming, but we're not lawyers, we're not MPs. But we know without a law, the lab makes no sense. How many loans have we taken in agriculture to do labs? Okay, it's all good, but really you go for what is elemental in a business or an institution and fix it. Huh? So, what did we begin with? Ask the right questions. But why? Why do we have a market since 1962 of Britain and we've never sold a single kilo of beef? And Botswana, which has only 1.5 million cows, they sell a lot. Namibia sells a lot. South Africa sells a lot. We speak English. We too are like whatever. Why? It's because there are many other layers to deal with. So if you start with the right questions, and you're passionate about what you're looking for, it will really help you. Are you good with this? So let me show you an example. This is Frederick Lugard, an older him. Now he was a lord. This is the guy who colonized you, all of you. He asked a different set of questions. He arrived in the country in 1892. And he found 2 religious groups fighting for who would have a lot of influence over mango. So the Wafranzas had arrived saying, so they had a conflict in Europe, the British and the French, but they would channel their conflict through religion. He found them, Father Laudel Mapera had arrived, and they wanted to control the thoughts of Kabaka Mwanga. And then the Wangereza also were very few, but they were trying to control Mengo. But they were all fighting around Kampala. So he flipped. You can imagine, this guy is trying to colonize you. He says, okay, how about other parts of the country? So he walked 2,000 miles from Mombasa up to Kasese on foot. And in every place he would pick potters, and he learned Luganda, and he learned Swahili. How do I know what you eat and how your thoughts are? By learning your. So when this man says, I am Kakwa, nobody cares what he has told you. How will you know him? That's why we're scared of each other. But Muzungu comes, hey, Muzungu hates you, this man loves you. It starts with knowing the lay of the land. So he understood the lay of the land. So he watched the Wangerezas and the Wafranzas. Remember, he's a retired major. He was actually a captain. And he's looking for what to do. He has no job. And his vision, his core was expand the territory of Her Majesty the Queen so that you provide jobs and resources for small Britain. What a business proposition. Can you imagine? He's doing all this, but the core is do this for your country. First thing tomorrow morning, because it's 5 o'clock.